Welcome to No Quit, the podcast where real business isn't filtered. I'm Jeff Leschere, founder of Florida Lee Law and Title. I've built an 8-figure company, but not without setbacks, burnouts, and moments that nearly broke me. This podcast is where I tell the truth about what it really takes to grow something that lasts. The wins, the losses, and the grit in between. If you're in it for more than just the highlight reel, you're in the right place. The stories shared on this podcast are based on real experiences, but details have been changed or generalized to protect client confidentiality. This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Listening to this podcast does not create an attorney-client relationship. Welcome to another episode of the No Quit podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Leschere. Today we have Amoura Graves. Is that right?
Yes.
Amoura? Yep. It's always interesting as a side note when we have folks on that are the children of people I graduated with. Nothing makes you feel old like seeing the adult children of people you know. But I appreciate you coming on today.
Absolutely.
Give me a kind of a background, like a quick, it doesn't have to be like a 60-second, but kind of tell me, and the folks out there, a little bit of your background and who you are.
Well, I'm Amoura Graves, obviously. I am the owner of Graceful Grains. It's a sourdough bakery, organic. I'm a mother to 2 twin boys.
Yeah. What are their names?
Case and Cruz.
Okay.
Yes, they're very, very busy all the time. Keep me busy for sure.
Yeah.
And I used to be a D1 college athlete.
Yeah.
So,
Where'd you play?
Auburn.
Yep. Basketball, right?
Basketball.
Yep. Wow. And you were at Ponchatoula before?
Yes.
Yeah, they got a great program over
They
there.
do.
Huh? Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's really come a long way. I think they were pretty good when I was coming up, but in there. But I mean, y'all won state championships and stuff since then. So yeah, impressive. Yeah. So born and raised in Ponchatoula.
Yes.
Come from 2 great families, the Uters and the Graves. I mean, great athletes on both sides.
Yeah,
So yeah, no doubt that y'all ended up playing
D1 family for sure.
Yeah, I mean, your aunt Katie was like always kind of the pinnacle
Yes.
of the girls in school when I was there. Great athlete, good looking, like everybody. But and then your mom Amy the same way. She was behind me. But and your dad, I know, was it just basketball he played or
Just basketball?
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, and he's kind of in a few different things too, right? Does he drive the bus still?
Yes, he drives a bus. He owns his mechanic shop, and he runs Loves the Key ministry. Youth ministries.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, man. So how many siblings do you have?
2.
Yeah,
two brothers. I'm the middle child.
Yeah. Oh man, look, more power to you. I'm a middle child too. So
I'm a girl. I'm the only girl though, so I might as well be an only child.
Yeah,
honestly.
but the special, it's a special place to be in the middle.
Yeah.
Nobody ever wants to give us credit. That's probably the middle child syndrome I have. But
we're the ones that test the waters.
Yeah,
and
I know
try
your
stuff.
pain, man. It's like you're not the oldest, you're not the baby. We just here doing our own thing, surviving. I get it. So it's probably how you ended up doing running your own business. And so tell me how that started, because it seems like the sourdough thing is a booming deal now. But I mean, you've done it for a few years, I would assume, to be doing it as a business at this point.
It's so good for you too. I think that was the biggest thing after having, transitioning from basketball to being a mother. Getting into health has always been a big part of my life. So getting into sourdough and wanting my sons to have good food, whole foods, was very important. You go to the store and you buy a loaf of bread and it doesn't mold for like 2 months. And I'm like, something's not right about that.
Yeah, you're right. It's like basically just sugar,
right?
With preservatives in it.
Right. And so that was something I wanted to give Case and Cruz, was just whole foods, real foods, the way God designed it. So
is it like an everyday staple for y'all? I mean, yeah, really?
That's what we eat.
Wow. Yeah, I can't get enough of it. So tell me how that starts out, though. You just started making it for the boys, or were you doing it before?
I would make it for just like family-wise, and because I wanted to give the boys the best, obviously. So I'd make everybody else test it out.
Practice it. Don't you need like a starter, though? Don't you have to get that from somebody or something?
A starter takes I made mine myself. You could buy like a dehydrated one on Amazon, so it's a little bit quicker, but I made mine myself.
How do you do that?
It's pretty much you feed water and flour for like 10 weeks until it builds up like pretty much a good
it's like
bacteria.
Raising a child by itself.
Yeah, literally. And then you feed it every single day. And I've been doing that since. And
it seems strange when people talk about it, like you got to feed it every day.
Yeah, I always tell my customers it's like taking care of another child. So
wow. And so do you still have that? I mean,
that's what runs everything. If that goes down, I go down.
So you feed it, it continues to grow. You like, how do you break a piece off and start? How does that work?
It's liquidy. It's like the consistency of like pancake batter,
okay,
kind of. But depending on how much I have to bake is how big I feed it. So the more flour you feed it, the bigger it is.
Yeah.
And I think so I'd kind of just scale it back or
crazy.
scale it up or yeah.
And what do you got to keep that thing in a lock and key or what?
You want to store it someplace warm to keep it healthy, because it's also it's picky. It's picky about where it wants to live.
Really?
So you got to store it in a warm place.
I'm totally a newbie. I'm thinking this thing sits in the fridge under some saran
You
wrap
can
or
put it in the
whatever,
fridge. I don't personally put mine in the fridge just because I use it so much with baking everything. But for like 2 to 3 days, you could put it in the fridge just to pause like the rise and fall, and if you need a break from feeding it or something like that, you could put it in the fridge.
So you're making this stuff, and it's for family primarily. And then what makes you decide to start selling it, or how did that go down? Like you started giving away first, or you just went straight to selling it at like a farmer's market, or what?
I do sell at a farmer's market, but before getting into that, my family was just telling me how good it was, honestly. And so I was like, okay, maybe I'll make a few loaves here and there, buy some diapers with it, you know. And then I got into the Mandeville Trailhead Market, and it just took off from there. I mean,
Really?
I'm in a few stores now.
Really?
True Cafe here in Hammond.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's like right there.
behind us. Yeah, okay.
And Lagard's Whole Health Market as well.
Yeah. All right.
I sell there, and
Is it just bread, or do you do like is there
I
a way
do
to do
breads. I do pizza dough. I'm working on pizza dough currently. Hamburger buns. Trying to think of what else. I do sweets like cookies and things like that. All organic ingredients. So I try to make it to where it's like just.
And this is all out of your house, or are you having to move like?
All out of my house currently.
Yeah.
I'm hoping one day to have my own bakery and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Man.
Working towards that for sure.
So how does a normal day go down for you? Because I mean, with 2 boys at 2, you said, right? Yeah. I mean, the middle of your day is pretty occupied, I'm sure.
Yeah. Normally I don't start. My market is on Saturday, and so I try to give the stores fresh bread and all that by Friday, so it's fresh, you know?
Yeah.
And so I don't start baking until feed my starter Tuesday, about like 4, like in the afternoon, wake up around 2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'll bake until about 7:30, or when the boys wake up, really. That's like prepping the dough and all of that.
This is just one oven operation right now, man.
And so I could do up to like 12 loaves at a time. So it's not too bad, but definitely want like a bigger oven eventually.
Yeah. So what does the day look like? I mean, is it one batch of 12 or 5 batches of 12?
I'm normally prepping dough. So you have to prep the dough. You do that. You let it rise for about probably 4 to 5 hours. Then you come back to it, which normally when I have to come back to it, it's during their nap time. So I kind of have to like time it perfectly. Then you do a pre-shape, and you let it, after pre-shaping, getting it like divided and all of that, you separate it, you let it sit for probably another 20 minutes, then you come back and you do a final shape, and that final shape is what you put in the fridge. And then you let that sit overnight, and then you bake it the next day. But I'm normally doing around 80 loaves, like in those the span of 3 days. So it's a lot, but it's a lot of like, it's more time management than anything.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like, oh, you're baking some bread, but then you start to think of the logistics of it, especially juggling, twin boys.
Yeah.
And I understand why you're getting up so early now, because of all that goes in. And then once you're done, right, and it's cooled, I mean, now you got to package it and then get it out there.
So it's a lot, and you have to kind of condense it within 3 days, because you want it fresh for everybody. Sourdough is something that doesn't have preservatives. None of my products have preservatives or chemicals or anything like that just make it last long.
Yeah.
And so I think that was the biggest thing, was making sure that it was fresh, but in a way that I could do it with production constantly going up with how much I need to make every week. So managing all of that has been kind of tricky.
I mean, really? Were you a business major in school? Or?
I wasn't. I was more focused. I was in nutrition. That was more my route. Yeah. So I think it fits.
Wow. So I guess, I mean, you've got to really plan things out, I would assume.
Yes.
Extremely well. And then the boys they're not in daycare or anything. I mean, you're watching them at home.
Full time. That was one of the perks of starting my own business and doing it from home, was that I could be home with them. That was one thing that I was like, I don't want to have to be away from them. And luckily enough, I have an amazing village. My parents help, and that's something that I'm very, very thankful for. And I'm able to start a business from the ground up, because in order to do that, it takes a lot of help.
So how many loaves a week are you putting
Probably
out?
about 100, 120,
Wow.
something along the lines.
And I mean, from what I hear, it pretty much all goes, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so it's not like you have this excess you're having to toss. I mean, you're selling out places and stuff. Well, I'm going to go next door and try it, man. I haven't had it yet to go next door and try it out. I guess they're just making sandwiches with it or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, is it this the same kind of bread like you get at restaurants sometimes with like olive oil and stuff like that?
It's somewhat, yeah.
Oh yeah. I'll eat a loaf at a meal. Yeah.
I do a lot of different flavors. It's my original, which is normally like the olive oil.
Yeah.
That's kind of what that flavor is. And then I do a sandwich loaf, which is softer. So, and jalapeno cheddar, Parmesan black pepper.
What's the best seller? Just the regular original or?
Regular original and jalapeno cheddar. Those are my
Really?
two. Those go very quickly. I have to make a ton of those.
So let's back up a little bit. I probably jumped into this too fast, but so when did you first start getting into sourdough? Like, was it in college or before that?
It was after I had my twins. So that
basically
was
based on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you ever involved or interested in baking or cooking or anything like that?
Very. Time was obviously a big thing playing basketball.
Sure.
You don't have a ton of time other than to play basketball in school and all that.
Yeah.
But I was definitely into baking, especially growing up. I baked with my mom and my grandmother. That was a big part of my life. And, after getting to college, nutrition is such a big thing, what you put in your body. It affects how you perform and affects your quality of life. So that was definitely something I was very, very keened in on.
Yeah.
I could tell a difference if I went into a practice having drank a root beer or something like that before instead of some water.
I think it's amazing because I don't think that stuff had really hit when I was coming up and playing in high school and stuff like that. So we were still in the days of you could play a game, you go catch the McDonald's or Burger King or something like that after. You never really put it all together. But yeah, as you age, it starts to become really apparent how food affects you and what you're putting in your body and when. That's a interesting deal. I didn't know it took all that time and that much to go into bread either. So what's the plan going forward? I mean, are you looking at other stores or?
Currently not right now. I think just with my sons being as young as they are, I just want to focus
kind of maintain where you're at now.
Maintain where I'm at.
What's
really
the biggest hurdle
rhythm
for you to overcome? I mean, it's in addition to the work, I mean, it's all on you in baking. I mean, it's still a business, right?
Right.
And so was the learning curve more difficult, like running a business and that side of things? I mean, you're having to bookkeep now, I'm sure, and things like that. Or was it the logistics of tell me about some of the adversity you had to kind of overcome there to.
One, I think just managing everything, balancing that. And it takes a lot of resilience, to be okay with negative comments or, being okay with constructive.
Are you getting a lot of that? Really?
No, honestly, I'm not.
Okay, good. I was about to say,
I've had a lot of positive feedback.
Who doesn't like bread?
I've had a lot of positive feedback, but just, knowing how to overcome those things, and being a part of, the sourdough community can be kind of intimidating sometimes.
Really?
Asking for help, people are kind of like, it's my way or the highway sometimes. And
I am new to all this. I
so
had no idea there was like a whole
I was new to all
community
of it too.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
Starting out. And, I didn't think that it would get as big as it is now. And it's only going to grow, I think. So hopefully, but
yeah. But I mean, you're saying 100 loaves a week,
yeah.
Right? And how long you been doing it?
About a year.
Oh
a
yeah.
little less
I mean,
than.
everybody talks about the business world. It's like that first year is like, what kind of can kill you, put you out of business. You can make that past that first year. But I find it's like, it's not always the first year that gets difficult. And you're going to find this too. It's going to be maybe it's this year, maybe it's next year, or whatever. But it's when you start to blow up.
Yeah,
trying to keep pace and manage
that. I think that's the
growth.
biggest thing that I'm finding not struggling with, but having to balance all of that because I also don't want to take away too much time from my sons, obviously.
Yeah,
and I feel like I haven't done that, but definitely managing that. And I also do a women's ministry as well every Monday and Thursday.
Yeah,
and I teach a workout class, so just having time for everything.
Yeah. What's the workout class? When does that happen? At 1 in the morning?
Monday and Thursdays. I do that at 6 at 9 p.m.
Wow.
The same time my dad does his ministry.
Yeah. So tell me about the name, I guess, too, and the background of it there.
Graceful Grains.
Yeah.
I think my journey, I didn't have a strong relationship with God before having my sons. I knew of him. I went to church the whole 9, But after having my twins, that was something that definitely grew, and it took a lot of grace from God and, on my part, just to push through those adversities of becoming a new mother, starting a new business and all of that. And so Graceful Grains was just something that was very fitting for my journey.
It's not like you waited until they were out of the house driving, going
no.
off to college. I mean, you're doing this in the more difficult years when you're learning to be a parent.
Learning a new business, learning to be a new parent, all of that. So takes a lot of grace.
Yeah, we were talking earlier. You're in the middle of potty training, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's enough for a parent to want to quit right there. Yeah, I mean,
especially two of them.
Yeah, I was always lucky there. My wife stayed at home with the kids, so what I know of the difficulties of raising the kids is the tantrums they would throw from time to time. It's never been the trying to teach them how to eat the right stuff or potty train or whatever it might be. So yeah, it's we split those duties up. I did the business, she did the kids, and you're doing both.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So like going forward, are you branching out into something as small as like just other flavors, or are you trying to branch out into like new areas, new products? I mean, what's the goal there when the kids get older?
Probably other flavors, but I want to have, my dream is to have like a bakery, but also like a gym that I could training people and, that coaching, just that competitive kind of thing is something that is in me.
Yeah. Do you still
naturally.
play?
I will shoot around a little bit. I told my family that I would get back into basketball a lot when they're older, and I have to, whoop them in a one-on-one or something like that. But besides that, I've kind of taken a step back just a little bit from basketball. I still am very active. I make sure I take care of my body. That's another part of taking care of your body is, working out, doing things.
Are you working out aside from the classes you're putting on?
So
Not sleeping much, are you?
No.
Man.
No.
How old are you?
22.
Oh yeah. Those are good old days when you still have all the energy and yeah. But I mean, at 22, I was also probably sleeping pretty late into the day. But man, I always find it interesting to see people that are, I guess, starting businesses, especially that are younger. There's just something about their spirit, that they're not scared. They're willing to take on things. It's something different when they're a young parent. In addition to that, but I mean, was there any negativity around you or that slipped in your mind? Were there any moments of you're like, why am I doing this? Do I need to pull it back? I mean,
I think the transition from basketball to being a baker, people were kind of like, how did that how did that happen? And and even like internally, it's like, how did that happen to my own self?
Sure. Yeah.
But I think a lot of what I do, basketball taught me a lot of resilience. You have the 6 a.m. morning conditionings and all of that stuff, and just the mental aspect of basketball and also the physical. It taught me how not to have a business mindset, but just how to push through adversity when something arises, like becoming a new mother. It taught me how to push through that and, really excel at it. You not just
I was never
survive.
Great in basketball, so I didn't play a whole lot. But I mean, is there a level of the planning of things too? I think that comes into play here. Excuse me, the planning, not just the game plan, so to speak, or how practices go down, but the scheduling of things. Because I mean, as a college athlete at that level, right? I'm sure your days were pretty well scheduled out.
Very, very scheduled, and it taught me how to be effective within scheduling, not just It's different when you schedule things. Like everybody makes a list throughout the day, but how many times do we actually complete that list?
Yeah.
But making sure it's a schedule that I can complete. Like I can do and fulfill. So that was the biggest thing, was learning how that transition from basketball to baking was very, very similar. That I found it wasn't as like as big of a jump as it looks.
I think the discipline of it all is like really what it comes down to. We and there'll be times in life when people they go through these peaks and valleys, right? And you can be extremely disciplined. I grew up in a household that was really disciplined, and we were athletes too. So it was like, we always had to schedule the time right, because you still got homework to do and, whatever else it might be, your extracurriculars or seeing friends or whatever. But, once you find your place in life, I sort of feel like, with regard to you wanting to get to your own bakery and gym one day, if you don't have those things that you're looking ahead to, then you can get kind of complacent and the routine maybe stays the routine, but you get stuck there. It's the it's the wanting to grow that you start to figure out new efficiencies and new disciplines with it. And I'm just curious, is that something you find that's a part of your It has to be with raising kids, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you're teaching them the same.
Well, just the motivation, when you're training for basketball and all that, you don't always want to train, but if it's something you love to do, it doesn't feel like you're really like working hard or training. Things are hard, but it's something you love, so it's something you're okay with working towards and working the extra mile, staying up late, waking up early, you're okay with it. And it's the same thing with a business. If it's something you love to do, and motherhood, if it's something you love to do, you'll wake up early, you'll go the extra mile, it won't feel as much of work. It'll feel like a privilege.
So when that alarm goes off at 2:30, 3 in the morning,
I'm like, let's do it.
You're excited, you're pumped, you're ready to get up?
Normally what gets me up is that's my quiet time with God. That's when I'll listen to all of my podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pray. I'll have that intentional time with God. And when you do that, building perseverance and faith is what really gets you through everything,
I really do think that's important. I'm glad you brought that up because, part of what I'm trying to do here with the podcast is sort of give some when we can, tools back to people, some that maybe I've learned or that others have learned, but that is one that I feel like it's sort of the secret behind some of the things we do.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of people like to go run or work out. Some are meditating, but it's really still all the same thing as what you're talking about right there. It's that time inside your own head, to work through some things, hear other people reinforce things that you may have heard or know.
Yeah.
Like my big one right now that I've been kind of like trying to repeat in my head is just, the things that worry me now and the things that keep me up at night right now, are not going to matter to me probably in 6 months, but certainly not in 6 years. And, it's just like, it's just things to get through, and without that time, to yourself like that, what you've got left is time with coworkers or family or your boys or whatever. And when you finally get those little segments of small amounts of time in between, it's worry because those things pop back into your head and you never get the full opportunity to work through them.
Right.
Learning
to be okay with quiet. I think a lot of people keep themselves busy and that's how you end up burning out. Is keeping yourself busy because you're not okay to sit and reflect and have that quiet time.
Do you find you knowing yourself differently or learning more things about yourself?
Absolutely. Motherhood slowed me down. With basketball, it wasn't really slow. It was all, and you had to have that mindset where it was like always competitive, always, just.
So that's your focus.
Yeah. But being a mother, it's more how it's not taking time for myself. It's selfless. Being a mother, you have to be selfless. And I think that was the biggest thing. It wasn't about me anymore. And when you focus on others and helping others and promoting something, that's one of the things that I want to do with the bakery is, promoting whole foods, healthy foods that are good for the body, feed the soul, feed the mind, all of that, and give people a good quality of life. Same for my sons, being a mom. I want to do the same for them. I want to give them my knowledge of what I learned and things to avoid, things to grow and all of that. And so that was one of the things that was just like, okay, I could slow down now and I could focus on other people. It doesn't have to be about me. And when we don't focus so much on ourselves, things get better. Our problems seem smaller,
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that's when you get the most out of life. And it's hard because like it's sort of human nature, I think evolutionary, right? We're all here to protect ourselves and survive.
Yeah.
But it's not until you start to think about others and do those things for others that you realize you're getting more out of that than you ever did going after just what you wanted.
And that was one of the things with the women's ministry. That was something that I started before, starting the business. It was my way of kind of, with mothers, it's hard to get out of the house sometimes and, get yourself ready and all of that. And that was one of the things I was like, okay, if I need help, I'm going to pour that into other women. I'm going to try to figure out a way that I could help women,
how
feel good about
are you
themselves. I normally up to like 12 in a class. It's just one room right now. That's why I want a gym eventually, have a bigger space, more equipment, things like that.
So the ministry is like centered around their health too, like y'all are. Oh, okay.
So I do I talk and we will pick a woman from the Bible and we'll talk about that woman for about 30 minutes prior, and then we'll get into stretching and a workout and all of that.
Who's your favorite to talk about?
Right now we're in Esther, and I think she's been my favorite for sure.
Why?
Her story is just, she has a lot of courage. Her story is about courage and bravery, and faith. It takes a lot of bravery to stand up to someone or ask for help. A lot of women try to do everything themselves. It's kind of in us. But she asked for help, and it ended up saving, if you know the story of Esther, it ended up saving her entire people. Yeah. So bravery and courageousness.
That's amazing, man. I think that you got a great thing going there. I'm super excited to have met you and see where you're going to go with this. Cause I think it people talk about, what's your why a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've ever focused on that question.
Oh, yeah.
But I battle it with it still today. And I've been practicing law and, 20 years. I'm a father, and my oldest is in college now. So I've been doing all this for a couple of decades,
Right.
and I still get up in the mornings. I'm like, what exactly is my why? I feel like I haven't figured it out. I feel like it seems to me you've never asked yourself that question. You've got it all.
I definitely have. Before becoming a mother, that was a question that I wrestled with, because I was like, I loved basketball, and I appreciate everything that it taught me, but I don't think that was my purpose, was to be just a basketball player. And then I stepped into motherhood, and I was like, everything clicked. It was like, oh, this is my purpose.
So it was like the step that you had to take to get to this.
Right.
But when you're in the midst of it, you think that's what you're here for.
And I think that was, you talked about what my favorite Bible story was. Currently, it's Esther. Her cousin was the one who raised her, Mordecai, and he told her for such a time as this to kind of give her the bravery to step out in faith and do what God wanted her to do. And I believe that for my own life, for such a time as this. That's where God wants me. I'm exactly where He wants me.
Well, that's great, man. I think you got a good business. It's going to be great, obviously, because it's something you love doing. It sounds like you've got a good meaning behind it. Your boys sound like they're set up to have a great mom, man. I mean, look, bread at the house that you're welcome to eat as often as you want. Sounds like heaven on its own right there. Where can people find your stuff again? Just
Lagarde's Whole Health Market in Ponchatoula. It's on 6th Street.
Yep, South 6th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then True Cafe right behind here. And at the Mandeville Trailhead Market every Saturday.
Every Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And are you in the same spot out there every Saturday? Where's
same
that?
spot. It's across from the stage. So it's on the Feed Street, but it's across from the stage.
Okay.
And I'm big and yellow. My booth is
good.
all yellow.
I haven't been out there yet. I need to go. It's probably early in the morning on Saturday. Huh?
It's 9 a.m. to 1 is normally when
I'm married a night owl, so on a Saturday it's tough to get up and get out of the house early in the morning. But well, man, I'm so glad you came on. Good to meet you, and I'll definitely be going back there to True Cafe today to try it. But good luck in everything. And I mean, you got such a bright future ahead and long span of time. You're so young. I mean,
thank you.
I'm looking forward to your gym opening with your bakery.
Yes,
and
I'm excited.
Let me know when you get to that point.
I will, for
Appreciate
sure.
it. Thank you. That's it for today's episode of No Quit. If you're still showing up, still building, still fighting, I see you. Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and join me for more behind-the-scenes lessons on what it takes to keep going when most people would walk away. And remember, success isn't about getting it perfect. It's about not giving up.